I can't think of another man who has had more impact on the team around him. Jim Farrar was born May 6, 1943 in Chicago, Illinois, but was destined for the hospitality of the South. Jim picked cotton at 5 years old and thought he had filled his bag first, till Mom pushed the fluffy cotton down and Jim met with his first disappointment. White beans and cornbread is his favorite meal. This doesn't sound like a man from Chicago Heights to me. Jim and his brother Doyle looked up to their father, who was known to say things like, "If you want to get ahead in life, you have to do a little more than is expected of you." Jim certainly abided by this nugget of wisdom, as well as always being 15 minutes early. "If you're not early, you're late," Jim says. Jim grew to stand for many guiding values like integrity, honor, and being a good Christian person, always helping a neighbor, a friend, or a complete stranger. Jim graduated in 1961 and later earned a degree in electrical engineering, but quickly gave up that career path for his passion to serve in the restaurant industry as an employee, manager, leader, and entrepreneur of his own restaurant. Jim has a wonderful legacy in his family with 5 paternal daughters and then 3 sons and a daughter with his wonderful wife Wanda, in addition to 2 adopted sons, both of which work for us at the deli. His family has grown with 22 grandchildren and 8 great-grandchildren, and more surely to come. Jim moved to Olive Branch, Mississippi in 2001, where over the last 17 years he participated in 9 civic organizations and sponsored over 1,000 fundraisers to support his community. The rest is deli history, as he is the longest tenured GM in one store in the entire 430-unit McAllister system, despite the hurdle of a heart attack in 2006. In the last 7 years with Southern Rock, Jim has racked up a multitude of community awards and articles, and internally has won Best Community Involvement 6 times, along with Immaculate Appearance, Engage Each Guest, Best Catering Sales, and even won a System Award and set sail for the Grand Cayman Islands. Your commitment to community and being the best has truly earned you the title of the Godfather. 2018 has continued to offer recognition, as Jim just received Small Businessman of the Year from the city of Olive Branch, Mississippi. We love you, Jim. You are the kind of person that makes me strive to be a better person. You have enriched our lives and will have a lasting effect on us all. Have fun traveling the United States. You have earned it. Now for more kind words from his pupils.
Jim and I have worked together for 5+ years. He has not only been one of my awesome bosses ever, but he's also been like a granddad to me as well. So he's very much so impacted my life. He has a lot to do with where I am today. He's took me under his wing and taught me all of his Jimisms and everything else with the company. He's been there through some hard times for me, not only professional, but he's been there for me personally throughout my life. And Jim is such a good person, good heart. Everybody around him loves Jim. They all call him like the mayor of Olive Branch, basically, here. He's got all these old ladies wrapped around his little finger, is what I like to say. They all love Mr. Jim when he comes in, so, yep.
I've been very fortunate over my years to work with a lot of people that have made a huge impact on my life, and Jim is definitely one of those people. I've had the opportunity to work for Jim, or with Jim, for over 13 years now. One of the first people I met when I came on with McAllister's Deli. Probably the last 8 years being a supervisor, I can honestly tell you that I've probably learned more from Jim than he's learned from me, which is very unique in this world to work with people like that. Jim has what he likes to call his Jimisms, and I've picked those up over the years, and I use them, and I own them now. My favorite is, "Guy, for 50 years, I've not had one guest walk in my kitchen. A manager's place is to be on the floor." I use that one constantly. Jim is a man of integrity. He's a man of character. He's a man of faith, and he is definitely a man of family, and I couldn't respect him anymore. One of the things that I've admired about Jim over the years is his development of people. Jim has taken just such great pride and has a passion for developing young people. And I've just really admired that over the years. He's told me several times that one of his greatest accomplishments is that he's never had to ask me for staffing help. I've never had to recruit a manager for Jim. He develops all his people from inside, and his 13 years, I've never had to help him in that regard, and he takes passion and pride in developing his people and moving them up the ranks. I can tell you that the people that have worked for Jim have left here a better person. So.
You gonna miss him when he's gone?
I'll miss him. I'm gonna miss him. Southern Rock's gonna miss him. City of Olive Branch is gonna miss him. And I can tell you that there's nobody more deserving than Jim to enjoy his retirement, to take that Ford F-150 he just bought, take that camper with his wonderful wife Wanda, and ride off into the sunset.
Jim, you're quite a man. You have been doing this for a long time.
Yes, sir.
So we want to know that you're gearing up for your retirement. So we just want to take a minute and at this next meeting and honor you and for the group. And you've set such great examples for a lot of folks in so many ways, personally and professionally. So I want to give a little bit of a chance for you to tell your story. And I think people would be interested in that. So I don't know what notes you prepared for today. I didn't really prep you very well.
Yeah.
But I thought maybe you could start off by telling us about when you were born and where you lived, and then what got you into the restaurant business, and a brief review of your career up to McAllister's time.
All right. Well, I was born in Chicago Heights, Illinois. I was born May 6, 1943. My educational background is I have an associate degree in electronic engineering, and I was working in that. And at 24, I wanted my wife to be able to stay home, be a stay-at-home mom. That was actually popular back then. Yeah. And so I decided the best way to do that was to go to work as a part-time job. So I started delivering pizzas, and I did that for about 2 years. And at the end of that, I actually bought the franchise that I was working for. It was the oldest pizza franchise in the state of Illinois. It was called Pizza by Genio. And I did that for 20 years. And during that time, I had 3 carry-out and deliveries, a full-service Italian restaurant with pizza and delivery. And I ended up buying a Jewish deli. And I actually kept it kosher, and so I had a kosher deli on top of that. And so after 20 years, when I decided to get out of the business, I thought, well, I'll just go back into electronics. I didn't get out of that because I didn't like it. I got out of it because I wanted to be in business for myself. And so as most of you realize, if you get a new cell phone, 6 months later, it's obsolete. So can you imagine, after 20 years, I was a dinosaur. And so it was not even possible for me to stay in I would have had to go back to college or stay in the food business. And I didn't exactly dislike the food business. I did it for 20 years. So I decided to stay in the business. I went to work for Little Caesars, and I did that for a number of years. I became a regional manager for Little Caesars. I had 6 restaurants that I was responsible for. And then I moved on to KFC, and I became a regional manager for KFC. And then I decided to move to Mississippi, and that was in 2001. And we had friends and relatives here, and so we liked the area, we liked the people. Some people ask me sometimes, what's the difference between living in Chicago and living in Mississippi? And that's easy. When you walk out of the Walmart here in Mississippi, the person in front of you holds the door for you. When you walk out of the Walmart in Chicago, they let it slam in your face. So I thought, this is where I want to live. I hate cold. My wife hates cold. We thought, we're going to die in Chicago if we don't make a change. So we moved to Mississippi in 2001. I actually I continued working for KFC. Then I moved to Schlotzsky's. And then they closed the store. It was a corporate store. They closed it, and so I interviewed with McAllister's, and so in November of 2004, I started working for McAllister's in December of 2004. We opened the Olive Branch location. And I've been the only manager here since its inception and since its opening. And I'm so very proud of that. And so that's kind of where I've been as far as been in the restaurant business.
What's your best memories about McAllister's over the last 14 years?
Well, I guess McAllister's and the restaurant business in general. You know, I learned many years ago that if you don't accept change in this business, it'll run over you. It's a changing business, and I think that's one of the things I like about it. I like change. I like serving people. I like the idea that we treat people like family. And I just like that concept, and that's kind of fits with my personality and who I am.
Well, Jim, tell me about your family. I know you've got some children and had some foster children, so tee that up for us and tell us a little bit about your personal life.
Well, I had 5 girls. My wife has 3 boys and a girl, so if you're counting, that's 9, and we have 2 adopted sons. So that's 11. So, of course, they're not all at home. They've all grown and gone away for many years, and they're kind of all over the country. I have, I think at last count, it was like 22 grandchildren, and I think 8 great-grandchildren. But they're, they keep growing. It's amazing how that happens. So it's like I remember when they were born, but I can't tell you how old they are. They get a year older every year.
Well, Jim, you've certainly made an impact on a lot of people. Your guiding values and the way you handle yourself and your commitment to training and teaching people and your commitment to young people in general is just astounding. And it's been nothing but a pleasure to work with you over the last 7 years I've been involved with McAllister's. And we wish you well, and we're not convinced that after a brief trip around the United States you might be back working part-time. So
well, you never know.
The door's always open.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.